South Africa has a long history of political giants, men and women who have fought, fallen, and risen in the name of freedom. Yet, in the modern era, those same leaders have often become subjects of scandal, corruption, and betrayal of public trust. Among them is one of the most powerful men in the country, Paul Mashatile, the current Deputy President of South Africa. To some, he is a master strategist, a survivor who has outplayed rivals and climbed to the top of political food chain. To others, he is a man whose wealth and lifestyle expose the hypocrisy and greed embedded in the ruling elite. At the heart of controversy lies one house. Not just any house, but a sprawling 28.9 million rand Cape Town mansion with panoramic views of Table Mountain and Atlantic Ocean. A house luxurious, so opulent that it has become a symbol of everything South Africans fear about their leaders: corruption, access, and the blurring of lines between public duty and private wealth. But this is not just about bricks, glass, and marble floors. This is about influence, networks, power, and survival. And behind every room in that mansion lies a question: who really pays for these luxury homes, including this one of Paul Mashatile? This is the Exposé of Paul Mashatile, the politician, the strategist, the survivor, and the man behind the Cape Town mansion that has shocked the nation. The rise of Paul Mashatile. To understand the mansion, you first need to understand the man. Paul Shipokosa Mashatile was born in Alexandra township, a place defined by struggle, resilience, and survival. From these humble beginnings, he would rise to become one of the most powerful figures in the ANC. Mashatile began his political journey in the dark days of apartheid. He was a Fury youth activist rallying against injustice, organizing protests, and standing shoulder to shoulder with others in the United Democratic Front. This was the foundation of political brand, a man of the people, rooted in struggle. But like many politicians, Mashatile's story shifted as South Africa transitioned to democracy. The youth activist became a man of government. In Gauteng, he held positions as MEC for Arts and Culture, Finance, and Economic Development. Later, he became the ANC Treasurer General, controlling billions of party funds. Each position widened his influence, strengthened his networks, and gave him a deeper understanding of how politics and money could be woven together. He was not loud just like Julius Malema. He was not flamboyant like Jacob Zuma. Mashatile's power was quieter, subtler, built on relationships, loyalty, and strategy. He knew when to keep his head down and when to strike. But by the time he became deputy president, Paul Mashatile was no longer the boy from Alexandra. He was the kingmaker, the deal broker, the political survivor who knew the value of silence and the power of waiting for his turn. But with power comes scrutiny, and with scrutiny comes scandal. The Cape Town mansion. Few scandals define Paul Mashatile as much as the Cape Town mansion. Nestled in Bishopscourt, one of the most exclusive suburbs in South Africa, This home is the very definition of luxury. Valued at nearly 29 million rand, the property boasts sweeping glass walls, imported marble floors, state-of-the-art security, and manicured gardens that stretch into infinity. For ordinary South Africans struggling to put food on the table, it might as well be a palace. The problem? Paul Mashatile's salary as deputy president cannot begin to justify such extravagance. According to the official figures, his annual income is impressive by normal standards, but nowhere near enough to support the lifestyle that comes with 29 million rand mansion, luxury cars, and high-end fashion. This raises the uncomfortable question: if Paul Mashatile isn't paying for it himself, who is? Investigative journalists dug deeper. What they found was a web of companies, trusts, and business people, all connected, all circling around Mashatile like moths around a flame. The house, it turned out, wasn't registered in his name at all. Instead, it was tied to a businessman with direct interest in government tenders and contracts. It was the kind of setup South Africans had seen before. Politicians enjoying the luxury of mansions, cars, and holidays without ever having their names on paperwork. A game of shadows, a game of deniability. The businessman in the shadows. Behind every politician's wealth, there are benefactors, and Paul Mashatile is no different. The Cape Town mansion leads us to a murky world of businessmen who thrive in the overlap between politics and profit. These are the men who build empires not by competing in the open markets, but by securing lucrative government contracts. In documents and investigative reports, their names appear again and again. Men linked to Mashatile through friendships, party connections, and suspicious financial arrangements. They own companies that profit from state tenders, yet they are also tied to luxury properties that politicians conveniently occupy. It's a similar story of South Africa. Politicians don't need to own mansions themselves. Their associates hold title deeds, pay the bills, and in return, they gain something far more valuable than money. Access to decision making, access to power, access to influence. For these businessmen, housing a deputy president is not generosity. It's an investment, and Paul Mashatile is the return on that investment.